Hi and welcome to another tutorial on Photoshop. Today we will be studying how to create a calligraphic brush for English and Arabic calligraphy. Go to Files, create new file, choose from presets International Paper and size A3, resolution 300 dpi. And I guess name the file to something like calligraphy or calligraphic brushes. Click OK to create the file. In this file, create a new layer by Ctrl Shift N or just clicking on the new layer button at the bottom of the layers tab. Now select the brush tool and these brushes are the default brushes that you have in Photoshop. There are a lot of brushes, the customized brushes and some very funky looking brushes in Photoshop, but for the sake of argument right now we'll be using the top two brushes on the left side, the basic brushes. One is the airbrush and the other one is the strong hard brush. Okay, now so what we are going to do now is, hold on, let the windows load on a little bit. Okay, so now I can move the mouse. Looks like there was some issue with the tablet and the mouse pad. So okay, right click and you can bring about the brush palette. So this is the airbrush, and if you just bring about the hardness to 100%, this becomes a hard brush. So you can just click on erase and erase these brush strokes. And now we'll go to the brush presets palette. If you don't know, or if you already don't have this tab open on the right side, you can just go up to the Windows menu. The shortcut is F5, and as soon as you click on the brush tab, it by default gets added to your right side of your tool tabs. Right now the tool tab that I had selected already had this, so I didn't need to add it again. So there are a couple of sub options, like one of them is shape dynamics, and for the moment I selected fade. So there are a lot of brush functionalities that you can create using this brush tab. You can have scattering, you can have texture, you can have a dual brush feature, you can have color dynamics to change the amount of color between two colors, the foreground and the background, or you can just turn the shape dynamics to off, and if you enable the pen pressure option, so it will work as a brush pen in real life, how you use a brush pen. So let's erase all the drawings. Now if you go to the brush tip shape, there are a bunch of options. But first let's turn off the brush shape dynamics option, and coming back to the brush tip shape, there are a couple of options, like there is spacing. You can by default turn it to 10%. 10% is a pretty good number. There is size, flip X, flip Y, angle, and roundness. Now if you look on the right side, there is a small icon that has a gizmo. If you change the shape of the gizmo by clicking on the sides and points, you get a brush like this. Oops, I mistakenly typed in some random values in the angles tab. So let's work on the brush tab. Before we do that, let's rotate the canvas clockwise so that we have a better area to work with. So now this is become a canvas area that is okay. Let's wait for a little minute and turn the canvas area later on. So by default this is how you change the brush presets, and now it fairly looks like a calligraphic brush. You can always Control T transform to bring the shape size down so that you can add some more text into the mix. So right now I'm writing Assalamu alaikum. This is a common phrase of hello in Arabic and other Arabic inspired languages like Urdu, Farsi, Pashto and other languages, etc. I'm just trying to figure out if this brush setting preset looks fairly alright, and I guess it does. It's giving me that calligraphic look that normally you get from a calligraphic pen or a cutout pen, bamboo cutout pen normally. Again, if I change the direction of the brush preset, I can bring about different variations, like let's say H, E. Maybe bring the brush preset, change the brush preset a little bit. Bring it to 40, and I guess this looks much better. Again, you don't have to follow this direction of the brush gizmo. You can always change it. So you can even use the brush tab to use in English calligraphy. It's like A, small letter A, and make sure that you give it some thought and some time, because it's always a very lengthy process. Now I just increase the percentage of roundness to 40% so that the A looks a bit thicker. So B, C, and the very first time you use this brush, it's not compulsory that you master it the very first day or the very first second you start writing. It takes some time, so doing a little bit of Control Z and undoing your brush strokes is not a bad idea. It always helps, but just don't get too carried away. Okay, now I'm choosing an angle size that is fairly my personal best, which is a 60-degree angle for the brush tip. And now I'm going to write something using that brush tip setting. So Alif, Be, or Urdu, the word Urdu. Notice that the Vaw or the W in English, equivalent to the Urdu Vaw, is a bit difficult to write in this brush setting. So I haven't found out a way to cope with that, but maybe if you bring the brush size down, you might be able to write wow in a better manner. But apparently I've shown this wow to a few people and they find it pretty alright. It's not something that they disagree with, because I think the font settings nostalgic that they've been studying, wow is written like this. And since I've been using nostalgic font style while I'm telling and showing you this tutorial video, so I guess the wow issue is pretty much fine. So I'm just writing the four different people, ethnic groups, I could say, Punjabi, Balochi, Sindhi, and Khabri. Not very much happy with the renaming of Sarhad or NWFP into Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, but I guess I wouldn't call them something like an acronym of KVK or an entire culture to be distinguished by an acronym. So I just name them as Khyber, Khabri. So now I'm writing down the state capitals of each state: Karachi, Lahore, Peshawar, and I guess Lahore isn't the state capital. Islamabad is for Punjab and Balochistan. I'll try to write Quetta with a longer hey. I guess that's it. And as I mentioned, I rotated the canvas to 90 degrees, so the canvas is now a landscape rather than a portrait view. I can also turn on the pressure while I'm using the 60-degree angle, and let's see what happens. Might increase the roundness to 30% probably, and try to write some more text. Let's see what happens. I'll just write the dal, and I'm zooming in and I'm looking at, as soon as I release the brush, there is this small outgrowth coming from the bottom of the base and from the base. This sometimes happens. All you have to do is just quickly select the erase tool and then erase part of the end of it so that it looks normal, and bring the brush size fairly smaller, because as you bring the brush size to a larger size, this kind of error starts happening more commonly. And if you keep the brush size fairly small, this small brush edge does not appear. Like right now I'm writing the English alphabet, and this looks fairly alright. Now I'm writing the Urdu alphabet, Alif, Be, Pe, Te, and so on. The dots or the nuktas at the base or on top of the letters seem fairly less detailed. I guess you can say that they look alright. So Jeem, J, I think I might have forgotten the Jeem. Yeah, I forgot the Jeem. Jim J He He. So sorry about that. Again, you see the dal, it has that small article coming out at the edge and from the base. So sometimes this happens that it looks as if the ink has been bled over some letters, but I guess this kind of small error also comes about when you're actually doing this in a traditional medium like using a proper calligraphic pen. Some kind of ink blots out or leaks out of the pen and creates a small little line. So couple of different versions of G, couple of different versions of H, I, and I guess you can just now experiment. The more you draw, the more you write using a tablet, the more better you'll get. Again, there's that small error of J, you just draw over it and correct it. Different versions of J, K, and also these are all letters in small case. So if you want to try using uppercase letters, alphabet letters, you can go ahead and try doing that. Totally up to you. So using calligraphic brushes in Photoshop really does require that you use a tablet. I mean, a lot of kids, a lot of students say, okay, oh, what if I use a mouse? Or what if I use a mouse without a mouse pad? Or this or that? And I say, fair enough, you can try it. You can do 1001 ways of using calligraphic fonts and calligraphic style letters in Photoshop. But there is a couple of methods that are the right ways to do something, and there are 1001 methods of doing it the other way around. It's up to you which kind of method you think is comfortable for you guys. But for me personally, I find this method using a tablet, using in conjunction to a tablet, a mouse with a mouse pad, a better option than using a flat surface that doesn't support that mouse sensitivity or doesn't support a tablet, and then doing something half-assed. I'm sorry to say that, but a lot of kids start complaining that if my mouse is working on this piece of table, why do I need a mouse pad? And when I start to show them that this is the reason that you need a mouse pad, because your mouse is not properly moving and it's straggling around on the screen, and it becomes a nuisance when you're animating something or when you're drawing something, that the lines do not come out straight but come out jagged. Then they say, okay, oh, you need to give me marks for this. I tried my best. And I say, okay, I can't give you marks for this in your assignments because you didn't follow what I was telling you. You were trying to find some kind of a way so that you can sort of like get a shortcut out of life. There are no shortcuts in life. And I've told them, my students and all the people who meet me, that there are no shortcuts. All right, so thank you very much.